Welcome back everyone, it's Thursday, which means it's time for some classic Heresy, and this time round we are once again steering away from the Space Marines. We don't have any Astarte stuff inside, instead we've got a little bit of Mechanicum on offer, and honestly this stuff looks really fun. So we've got the Arcuitor Magisterium. Oh man, I'm not going to say that correctly again, am I? That's the last we're going to get of that. Everything else, it's going to be a mess. But you know what? I think I did alright for that one time, so I'll take it. The Forges of Mars were highly prized during the Horus Heresy. I mean, also, like, surely the rest of the time as well, but I get what they're going for. A weapons factory on the doorstep of Terra was both a tempting target for traders and a point of concern for those defending the seat of the Emperor's power. Many tech priests broke the strictures of the cult Mechanicum and engaged in profane tech heresy, which is the best kind, but the zealous worshippers of the machine god are not without their ranks of judges and accusers, such as the Arcuitor Magisterium. I'm absolutely nailing this. Nailing it. Insane pronunciations coming out of me today. And here we have the Arcuitor, but this is a tiny picture, and that's a lot better. Straight away, I really like this, but then I have something of a soft spot for the weird dudes of the Mechanicum and the Adeptus Mechanicus. In both Horus Heresy and 40k, I just have a massive soft spot for little tech freaks, and this fits the bill pretty well. The armour looks super interesting. I like that kind of divided, segmented look almost. We've got a bunch of cables going God knows where inside that armour. In fact, it makes it look as though actually the upper half is far more mechanical than anything else. But I think we've still got... Do we still have anything, actually, that is biological outside of the head? I'm just looking, and it seems like both the arms are mechanical. The legs, it's a little hard to tell because they are fully armoured, but they're also quite, like, obscured, or at least one of them is, by this robe that's coming underneath the armour. Not every model can pull it off, but this one can. I've only just noticed that the sword, well, the arm that is holding the sword is... Well, it's not really an arm holding a sword, it's just the arm is the sword. The arm just ends in that weapon, which is really cool. I like that a lot. The shoulder-mounted death scissors? I mean, there's probably a better word than that. There's probably an actual name for those. There's probably a weapon that has been come up with that just happens to look like death scissors, but to me, the giant death scissors, or I guess there's a bit of serration going on one of them, so I guess half scissor, half clamp. I don't know. Those look really threatening. They look also really low tech. I think that's one of the things that makes a lot of the Mechanicum and Mechanicus stuff fun. You will have these figures that are covered in cables and half their body is robotic and they have got implants in eyes and cybernetics as far as you can see, and then it'll just be plus a giant sword or plus big old scissors. I think that contrast is what makes a lot of these models quite fun. It is that real significant mix of this looks incredibly advanced and that just looks brutal and very low tech. It makes the overall, like, flow, the kind of, like, silhouette of the model kind of weird. Like, sort of elongated. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It might have been nice to maybe have them at slightly different angles so that it looks like they're being controlled, like, at this moment. This feels like the idle position, right? This feels like where they default to, where they rest whilst they're not being used. I feel like maybe having a little bit of movement on them might have just made it a little bit more interesting. But overall, I quite like them. Also, the head is really cool on this one. You've got that lens, you've got the, like, that cybernetic eye thing going on. The big crest across the top is really fun. And it looks like that plate that comes down over the top half of the head. Well, is it a plate that comes down over the top half of the head, or is it just part of the head? I mean, it could be either. And the fact that it seems to cover the eyes completely, I really like it. I would love to know whether it is an item that is worn or whether it is just something that has replaced a significant chunk of this character's head and face. Because it could be either, especially given the amount of wiring that's going on in the chest there, and it looks like both of the arms are just full cybernetics. It really could be either. And we haven't talked about the little homunculus friend there either. I mean, there's a whole bonus model going on here. Big old rebreather, one lens instead of an eye. There is another eye buried in there somewhere. Quite heavily armoured under the cloak, it looks like. The cloak is quite fun. It being brown and then going down to a brown base finished with like beige and brown topping, I don't actually think it's doing it any favours. Especially since it's holding paper that is then like parchment that is also beige. It's kind of making it look a bit more dull and bland than I think the model actually is. But it looks like we've got a big generator of some sort on the back. The quill is very fun. What bird did they get that feather off? There's another question. That's a big bird. That's a big bird to make a quill that big. Overall, this is a fun pair. This is a fun pair of models. Let's see if we've got any specifics, and then we can have a look at some close-ups, hopefully. So, Magi and High Nobles of the Cult Mechanicum who demonstrate a particularly flexible approach to the dogma of Omnissiah are most likely to be elevated to the status of Arcuitor. These individuals tend to be ancient beyond belief, augmented to the point of inhumanity, as part of their never-ending quest to become as close to the perfect machine god they worship. I mean, I'm guessing in that case then that the helmet is not a helmet, it's just the top half of their head. Though they are not deployed by the Arcuitor Magisterium in an official capacity, their cachet and notoriety allow them to call on great resources when pursuing their zealous agenda, even enough to mount their own personal crusades against those they believe to have transgressed into Tech-heresy. Oh, that's fun. So they are borderline free agents who are given a rank and then go off to just hunt people down. The fact they're going after people that they feel have transgressed into Tech-heresy leaves a lot of room for interpretation as to whether that person actually deserves it or not as well, which is fun. Hunting down Dark Mechanical operatives and renegade tech priests is busy work even for someone with a technologically enhanced brain and a surfeit of mechanical limbs, and so it is not uncommon for an Arcuitor to be attended by a Scribe to aid them in their duty. Yeah, okay, fine. And, the rules are in Liber Mechanicum Forces of the Omnissiah Army book. So, I don't know what the scissors are called. The sword, presumably, is just a power sword, and I can't remember what that pistol is. Is it an auto pistol? It kind of looks like it, but I could be totally wrong. Either way, let's have a look at a close-up. That head looks great. That is properly unsettling, nice and threatening. That is good. That is a good look. I like that a lot. Nice little power pack there. We can see how the scissor arms are held on. That's fun. All the mechanical and bionic bits look even better now you can see them up close. That's good. That's a good one. Like that. And as for the Scribe, look at his little face. Look at the quill. Is the quill attached to the back of the hand? I think it is, isn't it? I'm sure it's not a problem. Probably got a lot of practice writing with it that way. I like a little fun paper dispenser. That's a nice touch. And yeah, that carapace look is nice. I do like a good bit of carapace action on Mechanicum stuff. I really like those two. I think they're very fun. They're very interesting, as a lot of the Mechanicum stuff tends to be. They've got a nice mix of blatantly high tech and really brutal, not that high tech. Oh, it's just a good aesthetic. It's always a good aesthetic. Let me know what you think of those two in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.